Well, hello to everybody who is out there in Zoom land, and we appreciate you watching our presentation here today. And as you can see, it is all about why a small business must become a sustainable small business. And before we get started, just a little bit about ourselves. My name is Tom Herring, and you'll be hearing from my business partner, Marianne Harmer, here in a few minutes. We are co-founders of a business called Benefit Corporations for Good, and we have been involved in the Benefit Corporation movement for almost 2.5 years now. And it all started with us writing a book called Putting Soul into Business, which was basically a simple yet thorough introduction to the Benefit Corporation to many of the small businesses in our area and around the United States, and what that means to a business. And just to give you a little bit of statistical comparative here, there are, according to the Small Business Administration, as of 2019, there are 30.7 million small businesses in the U.S. A pretty incredible number, and that means that those are businesses that have 500 employees or less. During the writing of this book, we were contacted by the Secretary of State's office in Oregon and about helping develop a third-party standard for the Oregon Benefit Company. And during the process of that, we've developed not only a standard that has now been used with close to 45 businesses, and soon to be next week 46, but we have developed a webinar and really a following of those that are interested in setting up and practicing a triple bottom line business, which of course is people, planet, which is what we're really talking about today, and profit. And you know, we just feel incredibly inspired by what's going on with small businesses, even in these very challenging COVID times, and the economy, what's going on, but there are still so many good, positive, good deeds being done right now by small businesses, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we go through our presentation today. So anyway, let's launch right in, and I will, you know, we like to use this, we like to use a, what I guess what we should say is a very simple proverb, Native American proverb, and it says, "The frog does not drink up the pond in which he lives." And I think that is very apropos to the discussion today about environment, about business, and about the livability of our planet. How do we continue to improve things? How do we get back to that 350 magic number in terms of carbon from what we are now approaching, I believe, 420? How do we get to that level? And we think a lot of this can be done through the small business itself. And anyway, with that in mind, I want to start off with a couple of stats here. And this first one is pretty impressive. It says 87% of millennials believe companies should help address social and environmental issues. And this comes from a research study done on a regular basis from Cone Communications. Here, this is 2017. Cone Communications is a business that is focused on the millennial generation. They've been studying that generation for more than a decade in terms of their buying behavior, in terms of their value systems, and you know, how they look at business and how they work in the business world. So anyway, very powerful statement. And I think really what it's underscoring for us is that, you know, this generation is this is a mantra, really. This is a generation that is very focused on doing good in the world, on doing a better job in terms of social justice issues, and of course in terms of doing work with the environment and how we can mitigate some of the major challenges and problems that have been part of that have been part of our planet for far too long. So they're there. There's a belief in a greener, more equitable world, and that is really something to consider as we go through our presentation today.
Meanwhile, boomers are also going green. And many of them, they've been laid off, or they might have been forced out during COVID or other realities, and they're opening small businesses as well. And as they open these small businesses, they are very dedicated to keeping the planet green. Why? They want it green for their children and their grandchildren. As you recall, boomers were the ones that founded Earth Day in the 70s. And many boomers are today striving to recycle, ride their bikes, and reduce their carbon footprint. They're also going vegan, as they know that has less carbon impact. And they're buying hybrid cars. So as we look at, as Tom explained, as we look at what the millennials are doing, we also have to remember we have this big group of boomers who are very environmentally conscious as well. And Forrester, a very well-respected research company, has been studying how engaged boomers are in the kind of the green movement and being socially responsible around saving the planet again. So once more, they're starting small businesses, and as they do that, they are taking extra efforts to be environmentally conscious. Go to the next slide here. And then let's talk about, so as they're creating these small businesses, we have here a stat also from Forrester that says 59% of them also, when they purchase, are looking for energy efficient labels. So as they start their small businesses and they look for products and they look to source their materials, they are focused on, again, are these entities that support their own small business, are they energy efficient? And just an interesting kind of like sidebar, boomers, maybe you don't know this, but boomers are the ones buying the greatest mix of all green vehicles. That includes electric, hybrid, plug-in hybrid, fuel cell vehicles, who knows what's next on the horizon. But they are the generation that's really pushing this in terms of, being very efficient as you commute, as you travel. They're on light rail. They very much are, again, engaged in this, but I think I'll go back to the point that as they look at the items they buy, as they look at how they actually choose products, this is the litmus test for them. Are these products energy efficient? So once more, this is studied by Forrester, and it continues to show they are a major force in this movement to become more environmentally conscious.
And so meanwhile, back with millennials, we have this statistic: 75% of millennials will change their buying habits to reduce their impact on the environment. And that's a 2018 study done by Nielsen, the venerable research company that's been around for more than half a century. And part of what we're doing here is we are showing mainly stats from the boomer and the millennial generations. And the reason for that is quite simple. They are the two largest populations and demographic groups in the US. And we study them very carefully because it's almost as if as they go, so goes a lot of other things in the world, including business, including companies that they want to do work with, small businesses they want to develop a relationship with, from buying to supporting their community efforts, etc. So something really important about that. And it really is, they do a lot of word of mouth. They share far more than what the boomer generation did, although there's still a lot of that as well. But they are very communicative in businesses that they support with their friends and their extended families. And there's a powerful influence that just can't be ignored in what they're doing right now. So they really want to find those businesses, those products, those services that truly match their values and that match the lifestyle that they are living. And then here's another statistic for the millennial generation, and 70% of them said they would stay with the company if it had a strong sustainability plan. And that's from Fast Company, and yet another publication that is focused mainly on millennials and Generation Z, that generation right behind the millennial generation. And you know, this is what they believe in. You know, they want to see a business that is making efforts to be sustainable, to you know, to see that it is in that business's DNA that they're doing good things in their community, that they're doing good things with planet and the environment, that they're doing good things with their employees. It's really part of the DNA that makes up this generation, and they are really strongly committed to businesses and working for those businesses and staying engaged with those businesses that have this strong sustainability element practiced in the day-to-day operations of these businesses.
So as we talk about millennials or boomers and being committed to being sustainable, the question is, well, so how do they do that? And there are some foundational principles for small businesses around sustainability, and we'd like to share some of those with you. And this has come from our own research, because every day we work day in, day out with small businesses, as well as some of the research that Tom alluded to in some of these studies. So there's basically 4 major overarching principles, but even above those, it's the fact that small businesses, because they are, well, in our state of Oregon, they represent almost 99% of all businesses, but they have the opportunity to really tell their story. So one of the foundational principles is be a model for others. Small businesses are in your community and they can tell their story. They can tell the story of a small business. So really the overarching theme is be a model and share your story about what you are doing in sustainability, because in your neighborhood, in your schools, in your faith community, you can serve as a model. This is actually why in our, as Tom alluded to, we're Benefit Corporations for Good, but in our assessment to determine if you are a certified Benefit Corporation for Good, we ask questions about your sustainability practices. It's important to, I think, us and to people, again, that you share and demonstrate that you have activities that show sustainability. So that's why it's built into actually our certifying assessment tool as well. But let's get back to those overarching principles. There's basically 4 overarching principles that small businesses demonstrate as they go green, as they become environmentally conscious. The one is they create a sustainability policy. They post it on their website and for people to see, for future employees to see, for their customers to see, for their partners to see. So it's a sustainability statement that basically says simple things like, we will recycle at all times. We will choose partners and vendors who practice sustainability. It's created with the team, with the leadership of the small businesses, and it basically documents and states their policy around being sustainable. And then you post it on your website. You have it available. So that's one of the foundational principles, is to create a sustainability statement. The second one is to focus on how to reduce your carbon footprint. Many are working at home, particularly during COVID, but to be sure that that is built into your business operations. Share ride, biking, walking, light rail. It's about reducing carbon footprint. And I think that's something that is really drives much of the small business efforts around sustainability. The third one, principle, is support environmental nonprofits and causes. So as a small business, again, you are in the community. So whether it's volunteering, whether it's 1% for the planet, whether it's through sponsorships. So it shows that not only it's what you do, but also you are part of a larger movement that is represented in maybe the environmental causes that are in your community. So that's the third foundational principle. The fourth one is be sure that your employees also are knowledgeable and accountable and buy into this effort. And so, you know, whether it's workshops for them that they can, how do you be sustainable in your home as well? How do we every day become sustainable? So it's really about that ripple effect of also educating your employees around being sustainable. So those are basically the four overarching buckets you can call of sustainability practice. Sustainability policy, reduce your carbon footprint, support environmental nonprofits and causes, and educate your own employees.
So how does that, you know, how do those translate? How do those actually, what do they look like? That, you know, Marianne just cited those four foundational parts of being a cause-driven and environmentally conscious business. How is that demonstrated? And so we're going to give you just a few examples from some of the 45 businesses, and we promise it's not going to be 45, but there are several here that we're just going to cite on how that looks to their stakeholders. What does the employee see? What does the customer see? What does the prospective customer see? And what does the community see? So we have one business, we have a couple law firms, and we'll be talking about both of those today. One of them is called Rational Unicorn Legal Services. And this is a business that does work with lots of creative artists, smaller businesses, helps them develop those important documents, legal documents that are part of being that small business. And what they have done as a firm is they have reduced their paperwork, and anybody that knows anything about the legal world knows how incredible paper-driven it is, to 95%. In other words, they are 95% paperless and all the legal work they do for their clients, which is an amazing accomplishment. All right, so there's an example. Tribe Pilot is another client of ours, and Tribe Pilot is an adventure app. It helps you plan outdoor exploring, and so obviously they're very close to the environment in terms of what their business is. And what they do is that they volunteer weekly with an environmental organization to help protect natural green spaces in Central Oregon, and that's where the business is, in Central Oregon. Another business, 1525 Marketing. They do a lot of promotional products work for their businesses, and they have a program called Plogging. That's with a P. And plogging is really kind of a combination of jogging and picking up, helping pick up trash in the urban center of the city of Portland. And they do this quarterly. So it's kind of a run and a walk. They have fun, they pick up garbage. They partnered with Nike in the past. Their plan actually has been picked up internationally and has been used in parts of Asia, doing exactly the same program with other small businesses. Mighty Epiphyte, which is a wonderful marketing consulting firm that we've also certified. This is a business that is deeply involved in climate change work and volunteered activities for 1% for the Planet, a board member there, and then also for the Northwest Environmental Institute. Coraggio Group is a management consulting firm here, and they sponsor a Go Green conference. Again, that's exactly what they're focused on. They have a volunteer day for their staff, and they support rotating environmental causes, and they can be, some are water related, some are tree related. There's several different things that they do on a rotating business, and I've been doing this for several years now. Canvas Host is a business, is an internet service provider, and one of the first green certified and 1% for the Planet businesses in that space in Oregon. And what they're doing is purchasing wind offsets with the Bonneville Environmental Foundation. In addition to that, they sponsor the national group called Green Drinks in our area, which is for small businesses, and it is all about how does a small business go about being a better, greener business, and having lots of meetups like what we're doing here today, discussing these important issues for small business people. And then the last one I'll refer to here is a very small bakery called Karina's Bakery. In fact, it was the first business that Marianne and I certified a little more than 2 years ago. And what Karina is a vegan bakery, so they compost all their food waste. It's totally a vegan plant-based bakery, lots of really yummy baked goods. And as a result, they're reducing their carbon footprint, by not using animal products, eggs, or butter. So those are a few more ideas to kind of get into your head. And I think Marianne has a few to take us just a few steps further here on how you can do this.
Yeah, I'm just going to share a few more examples because I think it's easy to talk globally, but we want to be sure that you have some practical examples. And as I share, I'm going to share a few more, but it's really interesting to see the breadth of kind of companies that are doing things, from, again, bakeries to internet hosting companies to professional services. That's where it all happens when you see everyone involved in this. But here's a few more examples. We certified a organization or a business called Killa de la Food. Yep, they are a food cart. They're very popular. They're out of Eugene, and they have a fish taco that's very popular. But that fish taco is made from sustainable harvested seafood. So they've made a very conscientious effort to only use seafood that's sustainably harvested. So that's what they can do, and they are proud of it, and the tacos are delicious, by the way. We have another business called Planet to People, and it is an Airbnb out in Yamhill County. They have a beautiful property, they have a beautiful home. They host guests into their home, but as they do that hosting, they also do teaching. And so they teach people about the health of the planet, as it relates to personal well-being. They have workshops around organic gardening and how do you build a rain barrel. So it's being sustainable is part and parcel of their hosting as an Airbnb. We have another business. This is a small manufacturing. They do custom formulation of liquid products. So in other words, if someone has some wonderful lavender and they want to make a lavender extract, then they make those extracts. But what they've learned is that they were importing all of these herbs, Chinese herbs, from China. Well, that's transportation-wise, that's a lot of, as you think about carbon footprint, that's quite a bit of an impact. So they have started a farm where they are teaching Chinese farming methods, and so they can have a source of Chinese herbs here and then eliminate all of that transportation. So it's called the Lillian Initiative. You might want to look it up. And basically they're bringing Chinese herbal gardening to the US. We have another organization. It's actually a local small plant shop. It's called Larkspur Plants. And they really pride themselves on only using local growers. Again, it's to reduce carbon footprint and transportation costs. They're beautiful plants. They started out just at a farmer's market. They now have a retail shop, but it's about, this is who they are. It's about local. Left Coast Raw is from Central Oregon, and they have these very delicious protein shakes that are vegan. And once more, they only use sustainable sourced ingredients, and they 100% biodegradable packaging. And the founder, he bikes everywhere. For him, it's like, it's all about being green while he runs a business. And finally, another professional service organization, another attorneys group, it's Hinkle's Law. And she actually lives in an eco-village, and she does workshops for the Oregon State Bar on sustainable future and how the legal profession can be involved in environmental efforts. She was able to engage them in the 50th anniversary of Earth Day and have representation from the legal community there. So her whole thing is, how can I insert myself in the legal community and be sure that they all understand how important it is to be sustainable. So again, this just gives you kind of a smorgasbord of the different types of businesses and what they are doing. That's unique to them. It's not like there's one cookie cutter approach. What resonates with that business, but still demonstrates that they're being sustainable.
So in closing, a few final closing comments here. We see the power of the small business and the sustainability movement. We see it clearly. The small business has been the backbone of America for many, many decades. And, in fact, 99.9% of all business is done through small businesses, as we defined earlier, that SBA stat, 500 or less employees. It is a powerful movement. So much can be done to dialing back that carbon footprint of the world and getting it back to moving toward 350. We see it, as we just demonstrated, in the small business efforts that are being done. Very simple, mind you, but very effective in what they're doing for their customers, for their employees, and of course for their community. It is these small yet focused and sustained actions are really helping the planet and our communities. And just remember that as a small business, there's so many more advantages that you that work in them have over larger organizations. You have that nimbleness. You have that ability to be more flexible and to make changes where necessary to strengthen your mission with your stakeholders out there. You're connected with your community. You're connected with schools and nonprofits, as Marianne mentioned earlier, and of course organizations that serve those folks. So many advantages that are given to the small business owner and leaders. And we think the world will tip in the favor of a better carbon footprint just because of the devoted and dedicated efforts that we have from those small business owners, both in Oregon and of course around the country. So with that said, we are more than happy to answer any questions you may have, and we'll take it from there. Thanks again for your participation.